Hi. It's really late, so I've just got ready for bed. And I just thought, while I'm waiting for my tablets to kick in, I'll make a video just talking about this whole COVID pandemic and how I, as a borderline, have been getting through it, I guess. So when it first started, I was, just like everyone else, terrified. For me, nostalgia, I think I've talked about this before, nostalgia is a bitch. It really is, and it lies. I also grieve for things. I feel loss in everything. So I grieved for normality. I grieved for just life as we knew it, as I knew it. It's gonna sound very dramatic, but I was like, I felt nostalgia straight away for just wanting to go back and not have any of this COVID thing, like happen. And I know everybody was, but I was grieving for everything that we had currently lost due to being in lockdown. And obviously I was terrified, not for myself, that's gonna sound like, oh yeah, whatever, but for me, like, the whole borderline thing is a fear of being abandoned. And whether that's like from somebody just walking out on you or passing away, it still has that same feeling, that same fear of, being abandoned is also about losing people through death. So I was terrified. I don't know, it's not funny. I'm not sure why I laugh. I laugh a lot when I'm nervous. I don't know. I'm not nervous though. Anyway, yeah, so that was really difficult the first week or so. At that time, I was going back and forth between being like, okay, well, it's fine, we've got this, we'll, it'll be okay, there's like not much to worry about, we just follow the rules and everything will be okay. And then going from that to, oh my god, we're all gonna die, and horrifically, like, terrified. Yeah, so basically I was walking a fine line between keeping my physical health and keeping my mental health. For my physical health, obviously I had to follow the rules, wear masks, disinfect everything, stay 2 meters away from, you know, everyone else. And that was like, when I was looking after my physical health, that was when I was scared, because I just wanted to, for me, like, I like to pretend that things aren't happening. I like to pretend that, you know, oh, everything outside my door, outside my bubble, is outside. It's not going to affect me or anyone I love, and so, like, this is probably gonna sound stupid and pathetic, but and I didn't actually do this, but to go out with no gloves on or mask, or, you know, even think about COVID, that was helping my mental health, because I wasn't worrying about it. And then to keep myself physically fit, physically well and safe, then obviously I had to, like, observe all of the rules and procedures, and that meant literally, like, looking this COVID thing in the face, kind of thing, and, like, admitting that it's real and possible that it's gonna kill my family. And that made my mental health suffer. So it was a fine line for a while, and I couldn't do anything. I literally couldn't do anything. I couldn't function in the first week or so. I literally just sat and stared, and, like, my husband was trying to, like, engage in conversation. We had the TV on like we'd always do, but all I could think about was how bad the situation was, and all I could think about was, like, the grief that I was feeling for, you know, my life, that was no longer the way it was back then, if that makes sense. Probably not, but yeah. So that was how I spent the first week or so, was just grieving for a lost life, and panicking and going between keeping sane and keeping safe. So yeah, then it kind of became normal, like reality. Like, for me, I work from home, so if I'm not home, I can't work. So me being home, like, all day, every day, is pretty much normal for me. So that also kind of fed into the normality that I was, like, craving for, and helped me pretend that none of this was going on in the world. Because I could just pretend that my husband wasn't downstairs working. You know, he was actually in his office working instead of being downstairs, but yeah. So it's become normal, and I was really, like, first grieving because of lockdown. I'm really worrying that we were all on lockdown, and it was just like, oh, it was just so not normal for me. Well, for anyone. But then once we got used to being on lockdown, I knew that my family were, you know, taking all of the precautions, and that everyone was staying safe. My family, anyway. So I was kind of, you know, I was okay. I was just ticking along. And then I started worrying about what's going to happen when lockdown is lifted. I started worrying about going out again. I started worrying about my family going out again, and my fucking grandparents have started going out again, even though they really don't need to. But whatever. It's just taking unnecessary risks, and I don't appreciate it, and I know nobody else does, but what can you do? But yeah, so I started panicking about the lockdown being lifted, because I knew people were going to start going out, and the second wave is coming, people. It's like, seriously, it is. It was always going to. Like, what I don't get, what people don't seem to understand is that this virus can only be, like, killed if you have a cure for it. We don't have a cure for it. We're not even close to having a vaccine. We're at least a year and a half until, you know, that happens. So why are people not, like, staying in? Because just because the lockdown's lifted or eased doesn't mean that, like, COVID's going anywhere for at least the next year and a half. And it's like, why don't people understand that? It's like, lockdown's lifted because the government want to save the fucking economy, stop the economy going down the fucking shit pan, but COVID's still very much there. It can't go anywhere because nobody's got a cure for it yet. So see, I'm getting worked up. So yeah, but that's how I've spent my lockdown. Yeah, it's just been a crazy ride so far. I know it's not over anytime soon. But I'm glad that everybody that I know and love, you know, they've been very lucky. And I hate saying that I've been lucky, because I'm very, like, superstitious and very like, I hate tempting fate, so, like, knock on wood. But yeah, so far, you know, so good. I know a lot of people, I don't know anyone personally, but I know, well, obviously, like, thousands and thousands of people have been affected by it, by losing, you know, family members. And the worst part is, like, you're not being able to be there with your loved one when they're passing. Not being able to say, you know, goodbye and, like, be at a funeral for them. And I know those are all, like, small things in the grand scheme of things, but those things are a process that they're there for a reason. They're, like, we do them for a reason, because it is part of the grieving and the healing process. And, you know, being able to say goodbye and celebrate their life. And yeah, but it's just, I don't know, it's just sad. And, like, I try not to think about everything that's going on, but I'm pretty stable at the minute, I would say. I mean, I can say I'm stable, but then, like, in 5 minutes time I'm like bouncing off the walls or like dreaming about throwing myself in front of a train or something. But yeah, no, I mean, one good thing that has come out of this is I realize what I have with my husband. There's a lot of, marriages that's on the rocks or ending because of being in lockdown together all that time, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. A lot of marriages are suffering because of it. And to be honest, I thought, what if we, suffered like that? Because in my time, I have done a lot of damage to my marriage and to my husband. I got like really sick, borderline just completely consumed me, and it was a process, like a long drawn out process where I was kind of getting sicker and sicker, and I didn't realize. And it all started, I would say, in 2011 on just a couple of days before my 30th birthday. My dog Bonnie passed away, and I was pretty much like catatonic. I was mute, and that was the biggest grief that I'd experienced up until that point, and it was very unhealthy way to process it and whatnot. But from there on, that was kind of what triggered me. And then all through 2011, 2012, 2013, and then in 2014, my cat passed away, and that hit me hard. And just like 2 months after that, I went to bed. One evening, I went to bed as myself and I woke up as someone else. I had completely dissociated and did not come back to reality for like 2 years, probably more. But during that time, I was vile. I was very abusive. I would smash things up. I would like flip tables. We laugh about it now, like, oh my God, yeah, you're crazy things. But, I've done a lot of damage to my marriage over the years that I was not myself. And like the rage that I was feeling in those years, it was just, I'm just very lucky that he stuck by me, really, and he realized that there was something that, wasn't quite right about me. I mean, that was obvious, the way I was acting, but I'd literally lost my mind, and I just had a psychotic break. So going into this, like, we've only been in a really good place, I would say, since 2018. That was when I was well enough to, we'd moved into our new home, and I was doing really well. And we were still having problems because I'd broke his trust a lot. And, there was still a lot of grievances and a lot of issues that we hadn't talked through. And we were just staying together because I mean, I loved him, obviously, and he loved me, but we were broken. We were literally broken. So, I mean, 2018 isn't that long ago, but it's only since then that we've been stable as a couple. And I was worried, like, the way that we argued, it was me, like, he wasn't to blame for it. It was me and my behavior and how vile that I was, as, you know, I was toxic. Like, it's just how you get when you're, you know, mentally sick and don't really know it. But getting there. But being in lockdown, like, we've spent 24 hours a day together, 7 days a week, and my cream is just kind of, yeah. Anyway, and I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, really. And yeah, we've argued, but it was disagreements. There wasn't any name calling or, you know, back and forth, slanging match or whatever. We've had disagreements like everybody does. I tell you what we do disagree or actually argue about mostly is, what do you want for dinner? And, you know, like, whoever asks that is like, fuck, he asked first, so now I'm gonna have to come up with something. So then it's like, I don't know, what do you want? It just goes back and forth, and it gets so fucking frustrating, but, you know, whatever. Yeah, but I was just, I don't know, I was just laying in bed one night and I thought, shit, it's like 2-3 months since we've been in lockdown, and it's like, we've not argued or anything. Not that I was not actually, like, expecting us to, but you just never know, especially, like, we've had a very, very rocky marriage up until 2018. And I don't know. I feel like we are back to how we were when we first met, or when we first got together. Literally, we didn't need anything, like, no entertainment, no anything. We would just lie in bed together and just talk and laugh and just for hours, like, just literally hanging out together, and we wouldn't need anything. Literally wouldn't, you know, need to do or be anywhere else. Just, and that obviously hasn't been like that for a while. Obviously, I just said about all of the things that I've done, but just back to that now. Not the lying in bed and, you know, stuff, because we're still working, but we are able to just still hang out. We're still enjoying each other's company. We're still, like, I'll be sitting there watching something and he'll just, like, reach over and grab my hand and hold my hand, and or put his arm around me, or, like, say, come and have a cut. And it's just really nice to be that close to him. And we are literally spending 24 hours a day together, and there's no, like, oh my god, get away from me, I need a break. And yeah, it's like, for the first time